HaKadosh, Boker Or, I wanted to share with you also another beautiful Dvar Torah, which is something incredible. What do you know that the Rabbi Meir Shapiro, the one that made Daf Yomi, he learned by the Chafetz Chaim. And when the Chofetz Chaim passed away, he gave an incredible eulogy. And he mentioned what made the greatest impact on him from the Chofetz Chaim. So let's try to see, right? Think about it, like how many things, what made the greatest impact? So the Midrash Tanchuma in Parashat Vayetze says, Perek Aleph, Yelamdenu Rabbeinu, teach us our rabbi. Somebody that kills accidentally, where does he go to exile? So he goes to Arei Miklat, he goes to the city of refuge. There were 3 cities on the outside of the Jordan, and 3 in Eretz Canaan. Yaakov Avinu, he went to exile to Haran, Gala leCharan, Boreach benafsho, and he was afraid that the Rasha Esav, his brother, will not kill him. So since HaKadosh Baruch Hu saw that Yaakov Avinu sent himself into exile to save his own brother, so therefore what happened? He went to him in a dream. He came to him in a dream. Now, the Midrash, it actually says something very interesting. It comes out that Yaakov ran away because he didn't want, it was as if to say that he was Chayav Galut, so he ran away to Haran, just like Arei Miklat. Now, the Midrash is very difficult. Why was Yaakov Avinu obligated in Galut, in exile? What did Yaakov Avinu do that he has to go to exile? What did he do? Nobody died. So there's a Sfat Emet. Listen to the Sfat Emet. That's more of good. But Midrash Tanchuma, it says Birichat Yaakov was like Galut to somebody that kills accidentally, because it's considered to him like a sin. Yaakov Avinu felt, maybe I could have done more for my brother Esav. Maybe I could have brought him closer to Hashem. And the fact that I didn't bring him closer to Hashem, that's why I'm Chayav Galut. Which means he could have said, Midvar Sheker Tirchak, but Yaakov Avinu was an emet. So he had the power to bring him closer. And therefore he comes, so it's considered like a shogeg. What does that mean? The Sfat Emet is coming something, giving us a huge chidush. What's the chidush? Just like if you killed somebody accidentally, but you killed them, right? And therefore you have to actually come and you have to go to exile. So too, if you could do kiruv, and you could bring somebody closer to the Torah, and you do not, you're chayav galut, you're obligated exile on killing his neshama, just like you're obligated exile if you killed them. And this yesod is brought down in the Sifri, that Rashi quotes in Devarim, when it says, "V'limatem otam b'nechem ledaber bam leman yibu imechem." Mikar amru, from here we see that the Tinok, when he starts speaking, you speak to him in Lashon HaKodesh, you speak to him in Hebrew, and you teach him Torah. And if not, it's ki'ilu, you're coming and you're burying them. Because it says, "V'limatem otam b'nechem ledaber bam." You're teaching your children that when they're going to start speaking, they speak in it. They speak in the Torah. Leman yirbu yimechem v'imechem, so they should have long life. If you did that, they will have long life. And if not, if they weren't in the Divrei Torah, so then we know what happens. And this is what Rav Shimon Hirschler from London said. The Shiva came in front of the Chazon Ish. And he said, right, that even though he wants to sit in the yeshiva and to learn to teach Torah to students, he has to go a lot to start collecting money, right, for the yeshiva. And it's causing him a lot of problems because he has to go house to house and it's difficult. Yeah? So he asked the Chazon Ish, why is it that Hashem just doesn't let me, I want to learn the Beit HaMidrash, and that's it. Why does he always have to go out? And then he has to start, going from one place to another. The Chazon Ish went and he said to him something incredible. Listen to the words of the Chazon Ish. Haoreg nefesh v'shogeg chayav galut. It says, you kill someone accidentally, you're obligated galut. And that's also to do with ruchaniyut. Maybe there was one Bachur Yeshiva that you were obligated to bring him closer in order to get him to have atzlacha in his learning, and you didn't give him enough attention. And because of that, he didn't grow so much. That's why you have to go to galut, you have to go to exile as an atonement for killing his soul. Something incredible. That's why the Chazon Ish went and he told this Rosh Yeshiva. You're obligated to go because you are obligated in Galut. You could have brought him closer. That's why you have to go to exile. In the Sefer Adat Tzadikim, he brings down a story with Baal Shem Tov, that he once went and he said to one of his greatest students that he's also Horeg Nefesh V'Shogeg, because he didn't bring up one neshama that was waiting for 70 years al Tikunah. And because of that, he went and he told him you have to go to Galut for a certain amount of time until the neshama is going to go back. So think about it. You know what that is? And the Chazon Ish went and he told that the Rosh Yeshiva Echad, what is called a good Rosh Yeshiva? The Chazon Ish answered, Rosh Yeshiva, a good one is that he understands every student. He could pinpoint the greatnesses and the failures in every single student. You know how difficult that is? Many times you tell that to a Rebbe in a class, and that's difficult. Here we're talking about now to the Rosh Yeshiva, the one that's on top of the yeshiva. So it means he's not even the ones which are actually teaching each one. And this Yesod, right, was actually also brought down, right, for one of the yeshiva of Chochmei Lublin. That the Resh V'Tivta, Harav HaGaon HaGadol, Rabbi Meir Shapiro, right, he says, we don't see what it is that he comes and he gives shiurim and everything, but he also gives us musar and midot. But with that, he prays with us, he eats with us, and he knows how to put in the heart of every single student the recognition what it is to be a Gadol B'Yisrael. Right? That he wants to be a Gadol B'Yisrael. So therefore, only that means he went and he showed them. Some people, they're separated. So they're not with them. So you don't actually bond. But no. He says when the Chafetz Chaim passed away and Rabbi Meir Shapiro came and he gave him the eulogy, he went and he said like this, I heard from the Chafetz Chaim a lot, but Roshem, the strongest influence, the strongest impact that it made was when I was with him on Shabbat. And he went and he said as follows, Moshe Rabbeinu, before he passed away, he said, I helped everybody, right? But I didn't help somebody that killed accidentally. I didn't do anything to him. So he asked for Hashem, please Hashem, somebody killed accidentally, let's give them an atonement. So what happened? He gave that Miklat, he gave the cities of refuge. And immediately he went and he did it. And he was so happy. But then Moshe Rabbeinu says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I now made an atonement for the people that they killed accidentally. But what about the people that killed purposely? Right? And it was Parashat Shelach. And he said, V'nislach lechol adat Yisrael v'agir agam b'tocham ki lechol ha'am b'shkaga. So Moshe Rabbeinu comes and he says, Hashem, you have to forgive the entire Klal Yisrael and for the ger which is written amongst them, because it's all accidentally. So Chazal say, just like you come and you forgive the ger, right? You should forgive all Yisrael. Why? The ger, yesterday he was a goy. He doesn't know the Torah. So if he's going to do something, right, it's an accident. He doesn't know, right? Until now, he wasn't Jewish. So what do you want? So too, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when somebody does something purposely an avirah, even though he says, if he would really know the greatness of the Torah and the greatness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the reward for the mitzvot, nobody would ever do an avirah. So therefore, just like the ger that he doesn't understand, you're going to forgive. So to Hashem, even the person that does something b'mezid, he does something purposely, forgive him. He says, you have to forgive everybody. So you see from here, the Moshe Rabbeinu was trying to find the tikkun, trying to find something that even for somebody that kills is a murderer. He's a rotzeach b'mezid. But he wants a tikkun for his neshama. He wanted to help him. And therefore, Meir Shapiro comes and he says, that was a chizuk, the greatest chizuk that I ever had, that I got from the Chafetz Chaim. And therefore, now it's understanding why on the Yom HaIlulah of Rabbi Meir Shapiro is Zayin Cheshvan, last month, 1 month ago. Right? Today we're the 8th of Kislev, it was Zayin Cheshvan. He was the Yom Sha'acharon Shabi Yisrael, that was the last person of Israel, he got to Na'ar Pirat. It's a Gemara in Ta'anit. It was on Zayin Cheshvan, that's when we start saying Mashiv Roch Mori de Geshem, right? We say V'ten Tol Marta Livracha in Chutz La'aretz, right? In the Eretz Yisrael. When do we say it? We say it 60 days after the Tukufah. But in Israel, the Zayin of Cheshvan, why? Because every Jew that they already went to Aliyah Regel, they went up to Eretz Yisrael, they're able to go home by that day. So therefore, on Zayin Cheshvan, that's when they go home. So that's a semen to the Daf Yomi. Why? Ha'acharon Shabi Yisrael. The purpose of the Daf Yomi is that no matter how far away you are, everybody is able to come and to connect to learn Daf Yomi. And that's why the Rabbi Meir Shapiro went and he said, listen, the Chafetz Chaim, he went and he wrote books for every single, and everything. And everything he wrote books. But also he wrote Machane Israel. Who's Machane Israel? For the Jewish soldiers. The Chafetz Chaim went and he wanted to make sure that even a Jewish soldier, he would have a sefer to learn. That even though there's so many goyim around him, he knows how to do it because he's one. And he did it. Even the Jew, which is the furthest away, at the end of the world, he's going to have a book. And this is what, right, that more of Yisrael Michachokov, he comes, which is actually on the 13th of Kislev. He says it's chovar rabbah, it's an obligation, a great obligation of the Israel, to not make sure not only their Talmidim that are in the Bet HaMidrash, but even the ones that are not able to continue learning in the Bet HaMidrash, but that they should actually continue with their Torah and Maasim Tovim, that they should continue. And that's why he came and he said that in the month of Nisan, there was like the Chtuta Charadim, there was everybody coming together. Why? Because they wanted to come. So there's another Chidush Gadol in the Midrash from the Sfat Emet. The Pashtut we understand is Yaakov Avinu, he ran away because of Rivka. Rivka told him, go find a wife. So run away. But here there's another reason. Right? He wasn't a Karev Esav. And therefore we find that what? That Nenash Yaakov Avinu, that Yaakov Avinu was punished, right? Because he didn't give her dinah. He could have given dinah to Esav, and he didn't. So the Likutei Yehuda brings down from the Bet Israel that after Yaakov Avinu received the berachot, he could actually overcome Esav. Before the berachot, no, but after receiving the berachot from Yitzchak, he could overcome Esav. So Yeshua ben Levi came and he said, Natan dato leitkayer. He wanted to be mitkayer. Esav wanted to convert to Judaism. He wanted to continue Judaism. Machalat, what is machalat? HaKadosh Baruch Hu forgave him on the sins. Basemat, shnibasot dato alav, which means he wanted Bemet to get out of there. So it comes out that according to Yeshua ben Levi, Esav, he regretted his actions. And just like it says in the Chafetz Chaim, the kavanah was he wanted to do teshuvah. And that's why he says, Esav Rasha understood that Yaakov Avinu was Sudek, he was right. Right? He understood and he wanted to do teshuvah. So Rav Shlomo Kluger comes and he says, what is the shita, Rabbi Yoshua? What is this shita exactly? He says, since he didn't actually divorce the first wives, so therefore he went and he said, okay, so it's like, I'm going to sin, and then I'm going to do teshuvah. They're not going to let him sin. And that's what it says. They didn't forgive him because he was only Mosif HaRishut, which means if he really would have divorced the first wives, he would have been 100% clean. But he didn't do that. So therefore he says, that's what Yaakov Avinu felt. Yaakov Avinu felt, if he really wants to do teshuvah, divorce the first wives, why didn't he do that? So because of that, he didn't do that. But Yitzchak Avinu did try to bring himself to do teshuvah. And those are the words of the Sfat Emet. Ve'ata sanach elecha. In last week's Parashat Toledot, when he comes, Yitzchak, and he says, pick up your utensils. Yitzchak Avinu knew who Esav was. He wasn't blind completely. He knew exactly who Esav was. But he wanted to bring him to do teshuvah. Right? So he says, Ve'ata now is to do teshuvah. And now he comes and he says, Esav himself actually was me'ared teshuvah. But he wasn't able to bring it out into the action. And therefore he comes and he says, that's why, but Yitzchak purposely wanted him to do that. And now we actually understand something else. Listen to this, something incredible. Listen carefully. Yaakov Avinu, right, he didn't bring back Esav to doing teshuvah. But for Eliphaz, Yaakov Avinu did try to bring him to do teshuvah. And that's why Rashi comes and it says Eliphaz was running after Yaakov Avinu to kill him. Why? Shegadal bechekol shel Yitzchak mashach yado. He didn't want to do it because he grew up with Yitzchak. He grew up with Yitzchak Avinu. He didn't want to kill. So Amalo Eliphaz li Yaakov, says Eliphaz to Yaakov Avinu, what am I going to do? I have a command from my father. I have to kill you. What am I going to do? My father tells me to kill you, but I don't want to kill you. So what am I going to do? You know what Yaakov Avinu tells him? Take all my money. And by taking my money, I'm considered dead. So the question is, one second, what is Eliphaz so worried about? Right? That what? That I'm not going to listen to my father. Yaakov Avinu should have come. And he should have told Eliphaz, listen, if your father tells you to do an Avirah, you don't need to do it. If he tells you to be Mechalel Shabbat, or you just tell him. Right? Even though you have a mitzvah of Kibud Avehem, you don't have to do it. Why? At the end of the day, he's telling you to do an Avirah, to kill me. But you know what? Yaakov Avinu knew more than that. You know why? Because with all the Yiddishkeit of Esav, he had one thing that was the strongest. You know what it was? Kibud Avayim. And that he gave over as a masoret to his children. So the Rambam says, even if you have one mitzvah and you're doing that mitzvah with all your heart, you have to do it until the end. Yaakov Avinu didn't want to take away that only mitzvah that Esav gave to his son. Esav gave to his son one mitzvah, kibud avayim. He didn't fulfill anything else, only kibud avayim. If he would tell now Eliphaz, listen, according to halacha, you don't have to listen, you don't have to do this, So what happens? You destroyed everything. So what happens? So he comes and he tells him, right? He's not going to tell him not to do that. So therefore he comes and he says, right? What? I'm going to tell him something out of the box. Out of the box, you're doing kibud avayim. You killed me. How? Taking away all my money. And that's why they come in this is the Rebbe from Luzhin. He comes and he says, as long as a Jew has some connection to Judaism, you never give up hope on him. Right? Because it's like a child that he comes deep into the water, but as long as you still have a rope that you're able to pull him up, you could still pull him up no matter how far down he goes. Because you could always still pull him up and you have the rope in your hands. He's still there. And that's what Rosh Zalman Auerbach once said, that he heard that during the time of Rosh Misalant, there was a Jew in Yerushalayim that used to get tzedakah, right, from a family member in Chutz La'aretz. And he always used to send him tzedakah. Finally, what happened is the person found out that the person that was in Chutz La'aretz, he became Mechalel Shabbat, he became everything. So he went to ask Shmuel Misalant, is he still allowed to get the money from him? So Shmuel Misalant, he asked him, I don't understand. Your family member already left the Torah mitzvot that he already did. The only mitzvah that he has left is a mitzvah tzedakah. And that you also want to take away from him? The exact opposite of what we are thinking. We're thinking, 1 second, can you get money from Mechalel Shabbat? Don't get money. He's coming and he's saying, I don't understand you. He already abandoned every mitzvah possible. Now you want to take the only mitzvah that's left, you also want to take it away from him? What are you doing? And that's what he heard also from Rav Avraham Bankar, that he was by Rav Moshe Yehuda Mipashkin, and he said that there was a very regular person, right? And he always used to go to the Rebbe once a year. He used to travel to his rabbi. And it was Shabbat Nachamu. So he said there was something with Shabbat Nachamu, Nachman, this, that. It's called Nachamu. So every year he used to come to Shabbat Nachamu. So somebody asked him, right, why don't you just tell him the truth? That there's no connection to Shabbat Nachamu and to the name. Like, what's going on over here? He thought that there was something, like Shabbat Nachamu. It was called that because, something to do with the name. So his name was Nachman. So Shabbat Nachamu is the day that I have to come. Right? My name is Nachla, so I have to come on Shabbat Nachamu to the synagogue. So he comes and he said, why don't you just tell him the truth? So he told him in Yiddish, right? If this is what he believes, why am I going to disgrace it? Meaning, if I'm going to come and I'm going to tell him that there's no connection between Nachman and Shabbat Nachamu, he'll never come. He'll never come back. So if this is what he believes, why in the world would I ever come and take that away from him? And this is what made the biggest impact from the Chafetz Chaim on Rabbi Meir Shapiro. Rabbi Meir Shapiro wanted to touch every single Jew. So he made daf yomi, that every Jew in the world could be able to learn a daf, could be able to learn something to be connected. And look what it did. Look what daf yomi did in the entire world. But the main thing that we have to actually understand is that we always have to remember that there's so many mitzvot, but don't. Yaakov Avinu, if he would have shut the door on Eliphaz and say, no, don't worry about it, you don't really need to do anything, what would have happened? He would have lost everything. Because now the only mitzvah that he had from his father also is getting rid of. But now the way that he did it b'chufma, it's exact opposite. I think that's the beauty of what we have to understand of what we learned from this week's parasha. Yaakov Avinu went to Galut because he didn't bring back his brother for doing teshuvah.